Hi everybody, this is the edited version of the Facebook Live that I did last Saturday, November 11, 2023. I removed dead airs, I added captions and photos in order to guide you as you watch the video. You can slide through the video and skip the parts you're not interested in knowing. And I want to invite you to join me on another Facebook Live that I'll be doing on November 18, 2023, same time from 9 a.m. through 11 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. I have the link to my Facebook page because that's where I'm going to do it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it'll be helpful, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, for unit earners. Alright, so there are visa sponsors. For instance, FACES. You will see it when you start creating your account with a visa sponsor. So like I said in one of my videos, each of the visa sponsor, they have a website, and that's where you're going to fill in the application. That's where you're going to upload the paperwork, right, that they want you to turn in. And they would require you to upload the diploma. Okay, if you uploaded a TOR, it should come with a diploma. So meaning the visa sponsor is requiring that you have completed the degree, right? It is because there are some states that are not counting or crediting units earned only. They want the full degree, the completed one. So if it is a visa requirement, there is really nothing we can do about it, but you can still turn it in for FCE, right? So I'm guessing the unit earner would mean units earned for graduate school, so you have not completed the degree. Again, some states would recognize that, but a lot of states don't. So for instance, Florida doesn't credit if it's just units earned, but if it's the FCE, the foreign credential evaluations, I would say just turn in your transcript for the degrees that you earned for graduate school. It will still be appearing on the evaluation results. So they would say there that you have earned this much credits for graduate school, but because it's just units earned, it will not affect your salary, right? So for the most part, the importance of the degree, master's degree, is for the additional pay. So for example, in Florida, if you have a master's degree that is relevant to your teaching job, even if you have a master's degree but it's not related to the job you're doing there, for instance, you're teaching math but then your master's degree is in curriculum management, even if you have completed it, it will not add to your salary because it's not related to your job. So if it's related to your job in Florida, during my time, they would add about like $2,800 to your annual salary. If it's PhD, then it's 3,000 something. So that's how the degree earned in master's, graduate school is important, and that's how it's affecting your salary. Okay, so the dependents, the J2 visa holders will to follow the same rules as the J1. So when the J1 visa's contract is done, if the J1 visa's work is not renewed, like the contract is actually renewed yearly by the school principal, so some principal may not renew the teacher's contract, and then the visa sponsor is not able to help you find another school, which means that you have to leave the country, then the J2 visa holders must also leave the country because the J2 visa is dependent on the J1 visa. So while J1 visa is valid, while the J1 visa holder is legally allowed to work in the United States, you still have a valid DS 2019, then your J2 can still continue to work there or study there, right? So, but if you have children who are, college students, they can convert their J2 visa to F visa. F visa is for the students. So yeah, it's possible. They don't have to go home if they have the F visa, so they can stay there. Okay, I hope I'm able to answer your question. Again, just to kind of summarize this, J2 visa holders are dependent on the J1 visa holder. Like another example of that to illustrate is if the J1 visa is not in the United States, J2 cannot stay there. So, but J2 visa holders can leave the United States. It's fine. Say your children, your spouse, who are all J2 visa holders, they can leave the United States, right? Without you. It's fine. But they cannot stay in the US without the J1 visa holder. For instance, say J1 visa holder goes to the Philippines, goes back to the Philippines for a vacation. You have to take the J2 dependents with you. Okay, so it's okay that the J1 visa is alone in the US, the J2 is having vacation outside of the US. That's okay. But what's not acceptable is for the J1 visa to leave the United States, right? Leaving the J2 visa holders behind. So that is a violation of the travel restrictions. And it's one of the reasons why the J1 visa can be terminated. So, yeah. So the J2 will also serve the 2-year home residency requirement. So yeah, that's how it is. Okay, I just want to shout out to those who are here. Hi, Ara, Maria, Arjab, Sheila, hello, good morning. Hi, Sir Chatty. We also have Amik, Sheila Diaz, hi, good morning. Wow, Mom Sheila. How's LA? How's Kim? How are the Kardashians there doing? Okay. Thank you, Mom Sheila, for joining me. I'm not really sure about the time difference between the Philippines. I'm in the Philippines and California. Good morning, Vanessa. So, guys, if you have any more questions, so I already answered 2, I think. There were 2 questions I already answered. Sir Arjab, did I answer your question? Okay. So, if the applicant did not successfully pass the principal interview, and then there's still enough time to go look for other possible employers, then they will try their best to find you another match. Okay, and then arrange another interview for you as long as there is time left. Like if it's too close to the opening of classes, they may just halt the application process altogether, and then tell you like, okay, we're now closing the application, maybe you can try again next hiring season. That's how it is, because they are not going to, it's not in their place to kind of convince the employer to hire the applicants. It's not in their place. They will not do any efforts. Okay, good morning again. Hi, Ma'am Viv. Okay, so the good thing about the SPED degree, graduate degree, is that it's it will give you more opportunities to get hired in the United States. But because if your work in the US is as a SPED teacher, then the SPED degree that you will earn will get you the additional pay, right? And if you have some units in SPED, you can, if you're not a SPED major for your bachelor's degree, so, and then you have only units earned in SPED, I think that's not enough. I think they would accept those who don't have SPED as their bachelor's degree to teach SPED in the US if they have completed the SPED master's degree. But if it's just units earned, they would still ask you to complete it. But if your bachelor's degree is already SPED, you can get a job as a SPED teacher, right? So because a lot of non-SPED majors during their undergrad, for instance, they're like social studies major or Filipino major, or those subjects that are not in demand but they want to work in the US, the gateway for them is to get the SPED master's degree. Okay, and then so now they will apply as a SPED teacher. That is if they already earned the SPED master's degree. Okay, because so the problem there is, suppose you only have like units earned, right, in SPED, and your bachelor's degree is not in SPED. When you do the FCE, Foreign Credential Evaluation, then you will be found unsuitable to teach SPED in the US. That is why finishing SPED master's degree is important, because your bachelor's degree is not in SPED. So at least you have master's degree that you have completed. It will allow you to teach SPED in the US. But if your bachelor's degree is already SPED, yeah, you're already qualified even without the master's degree. But so yeah, if you're planning to get a SPED master's degree, you can go ahead, because it'll increase your chances of getting hired in the United States. But okay, so I felt like that answer was all over the place, but I hope you get the point. Ma'am, I have completed my academic units in Doctor of Ed, major in science, which is 50 units. Really big. Okay, again, even if it's PhD, if the state doesn't recognize units earned only, then it will not add anything to your salary. But when you do your credential evaluations, yeah, it will show there that you have this much, that you have this bachelor's degree, that you have this master's degree, and some units earned in PhD. So the only one that will affect or add up to your salary is the master's degree, because that's the only one that you have completed. So if you're almost done with your PhD, I would suggest for you to just, finish it if you're really close to it, so that it will be counted. Or if you find a university that will allow you to continue your PhD until you have completed it while outside of the country, while you are overseas, then I would say you can just go ahead and work in the US, and then while in the US you can complete your PhD, and then when you have the diploma, NTOR, you can ask to be re-evaluated, and then by that time they can already add to your salary. Okay, yeah, there are so many, I think it depends on the major. For instance, PNU, say DLSU, those universities, they don't have like virtual degrees for graduate degrees if your major is the sciences, because it would require, laboratories. That has been my problem. I wanted to do like distance learning while I was in the United States, but they have that for SPED, they have that for other majors except the sciences, because obviously science majors, they have to do labs, and how can you do it if you're not in school, right? So, but honestly, there are so many online schools now that have sprouted like mushrooms. And I noticed that even for physics majors, for science majors, they're already offering virtual classes. I don't know how they're doing it, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot. So how do you know if the degree that you have earned, or because for instance you found a school like an online school and then you are interested to study there, but you're kind of not sure if this will be acceptable for your FCE, because they will check whether the school where you have earned your degree is accredited to give the program. You can check the website of CHED. Okay, you can inquire whether that school is accredited to teach a certain or to offer a certain program, because if they're not accredited, then the degree you earned from that school, from that college or university, will not be acceptable. So Spantron, they have different number of days, right? You can say, I think if I remember it right, they have like 3 days processing, there's 5, they have the standard, they have the expedited. So You can choose, but obviously if it's faster, it's more expensive. But if you are doing your FCE, you don't really have to have it done right away, especially if you're doing the process like you're applying. At this point, it's too early. It's still early, so you don't have to rush with the FCE. Okay, maybe you need to have it expedited when it's already like next year and still you haven't done the FCE yet and your visa sponsor is already looking for it. Then that's when you should be using the expedited one because it's more expensive. But yeah, at this point, it's still early, so you can go ahead and do the standard one. You don't have to rush. Hi, Elvira. Good morning. Yeah, so as J1 visa holder, you can study. Yeah, you can study. But obviously, your main job there is to teach. So your studies cannot interfere with your work. Yeah, you can study, definitely. It's expensive to study in the United States. So if there are like distance learning, from your home country's university, that's a good option. Because as long as that university is accredited to offer that program, you can have it done. Have the FCE done for it, okay, and then turn in your diploma and transcript to your school for an upgrade in your salary. A lot of U.S. teachers are doing that. They're studying during the weekends, online classes, right? Others, I have a friend, she earned her master's degree in Idaho, but she did all the classes online. She's a SPED major. I don't know what degree she took, but she graduated this year. Oh, is it Idaho? Oh, it's in Indiana. She got a degree from a university in Indiana. She was doing that while she was teaching as a J1 teacher. So it's expensive. She said it's a lot of money, but she's able to finish it. So you can earn your degree in the U.S. or from your home country if there is distance learning. Hi, Amik. Alright, so for physical education, there are some visa sponsors, like I posted early this week. Faces is not accepting. Faces is a visa sponsor, right? So for now, they have a list of subject areas they're not accepting application for, okay? So physical education is included there, unfortunately. And if I remember it right, they also don't accept applications from economics teachers, computer teachers, physical education teachers. But yeah, but it's not true for all visa sponsors. So it doesn't mean if this visa sponsor isn't accepting application from PE majors, it doesn't mean that the other visa sponsors are also not accepting. So you can just go ahead and try. If this visa sponsor isn't working for you, you can try another visa sponsor. There is really no rules. You cannot try different visa sponsors when you're applying. It's actually wise to apply with different visa sponsors. You don't have to tell them. You're not required to tell them, well, I'm doing another application. Actually, you don't have to tell the other visa sponsors because they have lots of options. There are many applicants, right? They don't have to explain to you why they're considering different applicants, not just you. So same goes with the applicants. They can try different visa sponsors. But there is, because in the U.S., because when I was in the United States, I was working, my batchmate, she was teaching PE. She's Filipino and also teaching under J1 visa. So yeah, but it's just that some visa sponsors are like limiting their resources, the time they're spending to subject areas that are in demand. So that's why. Hi, Early. Lai Ping. Chao King. How's China, Early? So everybody, I have this friend, Early. I used to work with her back in the old days. And I stayed with her also in the same apartment. She's teaching in China, right? So if you also want to consider teaching in China, so my next video that it's under, it's in the process. I'm making it, but hopefully it'll be available this Sunday. If not, then Monday. Because like this week, it's Saturday. See, I'm here at school. And tomorrow we'll be in school as well because we're going to have the parent-teacher conference where we're going to give out the report cards. It's Sunday, so I'm kind of preoccupied this weekend. But so if I'm able to finish that, then my next video is all about teaching opportunities in other countries like China, like Japan, Vietnam, Kazakhstan, because these countries that are accepting foreign teachers. Obviously, New Zealand is a good option as well. UK. What else? Because I would, if you're a foreign teacher, if you're not a Filipino, I discourage you to apply in the Philippines because it's low pay. So consider some other Asian countries, international schools in Asian countries. Yeah, it's not just the US, but I would say US is the one that pays the most because so far in the researches that I have been doing, I learned that in New Zealand, so it'll be half the pay you will get if you teach in the US, right? So for instance, in pesos, if you teach in the US, you'll earn like around 4 million a year in pesos, but in New Zealand it will be just about 2 million pesos. So, but obviously the cost of living will be different. The kinds and amount of stress will also be different. So the US so far, I have found out that is the one that pays the teachers the most, but it's also the most stressful. So it's really up to you, but I'm going to give you some information. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, so Early has been teaching in China for so many years. She gets to go home a lot because China and Philippines are quite close. Asian schools normally, international school, okay, they normally give free accommodation to foreign teachers, and that's a lot of savings. And there's also free health care. That's also a lot. So yeah. Okay, let me check if there's any. Okay, Madam Early, good morning. Okay, whether you will turn in the hard copy or the soft copy really depends on the FCE service provider. Okay, so I'm not really sure. You can, all of these things you can actually check the website. So, but I know with API, if you will, they only have like 2 FCE service providers that they accredited. That's Spantron and WES. One of these 2, they will require you to turn in the actual paper. Actually, during my time, I turned in the actual diploma, the actual transcript, the hard copy, for FCE, right? So it really depends. I read in a post on my page, Teach USA, that some Pinoy teachers were fired or terminated after a few months of starting due to false accusation or unsatisfactory performance and were given a month grace period to find another district. I thought that newly hired teachers would have enough time to adjust and be well prepared to learn classroom management. Can you give your views on this? Okay, how foreign teachers or new teachers, for that matter, are dealt with by the admin really depends on the admin on the school. Different cases per school, because based on my experience at our school, there were teachers obviously who were struggling. They were given enough time. They were able to finish the whole program. They were allowed to sit in, for instance, in other teachers' classes. Really, it depends. That is not a usual practice because usually they would give you time, right? And also, we don't really know the detail why the termination happened. Did the termination happen in just one school and for every foreign teacher? Like for instance, this school admitted, like hired three foreign teachers. Were they all terminated? Really, we don't know the detail, right? But usually they give you time to adjust. They give you time because based on my experience, when the admins observe there, the purpose of the observation is not to find fault. It is to find a way, it is to know what kind of help do the teachers need based on what you have observed. Okay? So that is not a common practice. So we don't know the detail. I have heard about this story, but I don't know. I cannot, give specific comments except this general one that I already gave, because I don't know the detail. So I got, question about, hey, can I contest? I was asked to go home. I've been here only for 2 weeks. Can I contest that decision? Well, if the employer, that's a school or district, and your visa sponsor already canceled your contract and terminated your visa, there is really no way for you to be able to continue to work in the United States, right? You can contest it, but you have to hire an immigration lawyer. So if you have just gotten into the United States, so you haven't really been working for a while, you don't have enough money yet to sustain staying there, and then hiring an immigration lawyer, right? So I don't know. I don't know the detail of that, That's a sad thing, right? And especially if the teacher, for most cases, the teachers who go apply to foreign countries, they leave behind everything. Some of them have incurred, and it's common, a lot of teachers have incurred huge amount of debts just to go work in the United States. And then suddenly you'll be asked, and then early on, to go back, and then they're canceling. But that's all right. At least the visa is not canceled. So if the one that is canceled is only the contract, it's okay. You can still, I'm not saying it's okay, it's, like that, but at least you can still stay in the United States and look for another school district. But if the visa sponsor is the one that canceled the visa, you really have to go home, because you cannot work there without the visa. So if your contract has not been renewed, as long as your visa is valid, you can still go find another employer. You can still work. With the case of EPI, they're helping the teacher go find another school. EPI is working in, like, placing teachers in 4 states, right? So if the teacher has not been renewed in Florida, and then, for instance, they were not able to find work for that teacher in Florida, they can go and look for a match in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Virginia. I don't know with other visa sponsors how they do it though. Okay, let me see. Teachers with SPED major in English are accepted right now in the US. Okay, so FACES, in my post, if you have seen it, they don't accept for now elementary teachers, right? But again, that's not true for all visa sponsors. You can apply in EPI, GEC, TPG. There are so many other options. If you are a BEd major, so the thing with English major is that, so anyway, BEd, because for EPI, if you are applying to teach English, they are now requiring you to have a master's degree, not just units earned. Okay? But that's not true for other visa sponsors either. Other visa sponsors would be okay if you are applying as an English teacher and you don't have the degree earned, right? The master's degree. But you have to have the bachelor's degree, obviously. So it really depends per visa sponsor. So be patient until you find the right visa sponsor for you, right? But I'm advocating, what I prefer is always to find visa sponsor first before applying directly to schools, because schools normally are not visa sponsors. Even if they want you to work with them, but if they are not sponsoring visa, you still have to look for a visa sponsor. So therefore, it is, more practical, it's more efficient to go find a visa sponsor first before the school. Also because for the most part, visa sponsors already have the program in place. They have partnered with schools and districts. So if they hire you as a visa sponsor, they will be the ones to look for a school for you, right? So as for the requirements for English majors, it depends for visa sponsor. For EPI, they want you to have a master's degree, not just units earned. Some visa sponsors like FCE for now is not accepting BE-Ed graduates. I have posted that, this week. Teachers would be okay. Guys, there are so many visa sponsors, okay? Don't limit yourself with FACES, EPI. Those are the popular ones among Filipinos, but it doesn't mean that there are no other visa sponsors. I've been sharing lots of resources where you can find visa sponsors. There's more than 100. Unfortunately, some of them some of them are asking for program fees, okay? So I shared a link to J1 visa sponsors that ask for fees. It's a Google form. I'm updating it every time I see a new visa sponsor, J1 visa sponsor. I would add to that resource. You can check it out later. It's on my Facebook page. But the video that I made is specifically for J1 visa sponsors that do not ask for program fees. Because program fees must be paid yearly. So if you worked with visa sponsors that ask for program fees, then yearly you have to pay them. Okay, next. Okay, class advisors. No, there's no class advisory class if you're teaching secondary, right? But for elementary, you're the class advisor or moderator of that class. But for secondary, there are no homeroom classes, there's no advisory class, there's no moderating class. There are a lot of stories where a teacher was dismissed. How often they occur? Is there a way they can appeal? Okay, I already kind of covered this earlier, so there are a couple of reasons, right? Again, performance, because this is the reality. Although new teachers are given this consideration because you're new, you're still adjusting, right? But when they hired you because they need you to do a job, right? And if they see that you're not able to do it, of course, basically they would want someone who can do the job right away. That's a preference. Some admin can be more patient, some may not be patient, right? Because it's Americans, they're really practical people. There may be some teachers who, because they could not adjust well, unable to adjust real quick, they become a burden of the admin. I know it's a harsh word, but the admins there, schools there are already burdened with a lot of things, teachers shortages, parents who are not really cooperating or are giving them a hard time, the students, the student discipline. So if they still have to worry about the teacher they hired, it's going to add to the burden that they already previously have, right? So it's understandable that, okay, maybe we should let go of this teacher and find another one. That is why I've been telling here on my Facebook page, as a foreign teacher, it's very important for us to know the reality, to adjust our expectations, and as professionals, it's part of our job to, navigate, because we are already adults too, right? So what the most important thing there is being able to adjust, stop comparing, because it will not help in any way. If in your mind you still have, okay, the students in my country are like this and that, my principal in my previous school is like this and that, it's so different here. Obviously it's different, it's a different culture, it's a different system. So it will be to your advantage if you can, separate, the emotions, start to accept that you are in a new place, in a new working environment. It's an entirely different culture. Okay, the admins are not there to baby you because they have other things to take care of. They will give you time to adjust, but if they're seeing that you're not improving, okay, and with the interest of the school and the student as their topmost priority, they may have to let go of teachers who cannot adjust. Okay, so that's why I would suggest, read articles about teaching in the US, watch vlogs, listen to people sharing their experiences, not to discourage you, but for you to get ideas, to adjust your expectations. So this is what I'll be expecting to have when I get there. So when you are there and you are confronted with a situation that you have been reading about, you will be able to emotionally detach yourself from that situation and, handle it objectively. So what can I do? What adjustments do I need to do? Okay, so I have a video I created about, watch it first before you quit, something like that. It's based on my experience. That's why it's a long video, but because it's detailed. So if you have time, watch it first before, going to the US, so that somehow, hopefully, it'll help with the expectations. Again, if there is anything, any takeaway, and you're in the process of applying as early as now, okay, please remember to stop comparing the situation there and your situation in your home country. Culture is different, it's a different system, students are different, and remember that you are there as a paid professional, so you have to deal with things professionally. If it's taking a while for you to adjust, you can expect that they might reconsider, continuing your employment. You can appeal if the reason for your dismissal is not valid. For instance, if you feel like it is because of your race or whatever, you can appeal that. So what do? If you got a notice of dismissal from your school, inform your visa sponsor right away. You can also ask for an explanation for the admin why they are dismissing you. Okay? If the reason they're stating, if you feel like is okay, that's reasonable, that's true, you can ask for reconsideration. It is fine. You have to advocate for yourself, but you also have to show them that you can do better, right? That you will not be always, hey, I'm having a hard time, and then you're always complaining, but you haven't tried really anything new and see if it works. So obviously, they're not there to, be your, like a coach or pep talk to always give you encouragement. They also have a lot on their plates. Okay. Again, for dismissal notice from the employer, inform your visa sponsor right away. Ask for explanation so that you can weigh if it's something that you can improve on. If not, then there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot force them to continue to employ you if they don't want you anymore. Hi, ma'am. I'm unfortunately, during my college years, they only offer Filipino majors. So I graduated in major Filipino. Although now I have 36 units of masters. Okay, so Ma'am Aiza, Yeah, unfortunately, the master's, the degree that you decided to take is not something that can help you land a job in the US. It has nothing to do, like educational management, you're not going to teach their education, right? So the better option would have been, I know this is bad news, or but I'm being honest with you, you should have taken a SPED master's degree instead, because that degree, educational management, is for the Philippines if you want to be a principal, an admin. But if you want to work in the US, you will be applying as a teacher, not as a principal, right? So unfortunately, that degree is not a good bridge. Your educational management, you could have taken SPED instead. Okay, the cheapest visa sponsor would be the ones who don't ask for program fees, like EPI, FACES, TPG, right? GEC. I have the video. If you haven't seen it, Evangeline, I have a video on J1 visa sponsors that don't ask program fees. They are the cheapest because program fee can be from $1,600 a year to $3,000 a year. Because there are J1 visa sponsors who would ask for program fees. Okay, just to clarify, maybe there's a confusion. Visa sponsors are not the same as the placement agencies. Placement agencies are just the ones who will help you find a visa sponsor. Now you can find a visa sponsor on your own, so skip the placement agencies, and they are actually the ones that will cost you the most. Placement agencies could cost you from 6,000 US dollars to 18,000 US dollars. So go directly to visa sponsors. Even if you ended up working with visa sponsors that ask for program fees, that's still cheaper than working with placement agencies, right? So average class size in the US, really it depends per school and per district. The information can actually be, you can take it from the internet, okay? Alright, so guys, I know you're thinking, okay, it's the US, but not all schools there in the US are equal, okay? Some are more populated than others. Some have really bad management compared to others, so really it depends. So if there's, okay, not to discriminate, but this is really based on experiences of other teachers, but you may want to avoid, Chicago, Baltimore, New York City, LA. You don't want to teach in those cities, I'm telling you. Yeah, husband and wife, yeah. I already worked with a couple at my school. They're both J1 visa teachers, Filipinos. So the husband was teaching agriculture and the wife was teaching science. Okay, I usually eat with them during lunch. But they're in Arkansas now. They're under H1B visa, so good for them, right? So it's fine. If both of you are teachers, you can work at the same school. If both of you applied at the same school, for instance, and got accepted. So if your wife or husband is also a teacher, that you have two options. You either apply both as J1 visa holders, separate, or one of you is J1 and the other one is J2. For J2 visa holders, you can apply to teach in the US if you already have the EAD. I already covered, I have a video about J2 visa job opportunities and what to do in order to work under J2 visa. Okay, when you move to another country early, you should be prepared to embrace, okay, this is from early, alright? She is someone who's been working abroad for the longest time. When you move to another country, you should be prepared to embrace a new culture and step out of your own comfort zone. Learn to unlearn old ways and adjust mindset on how class should be managed and lessons taught. Exactly. Good job, Early. I love you. Thank you for that. It's one of the reasons why some teachers get really, really frustrated, because they go there with this expectation and the reality isn't matching the expectation, and also they carry with them these, especially if they've been working for a long time in just one place, in one school, in one country. So they carry the things with them and are having a hard time separating what they're used to doing than what they should be doing now. Okay, it's one of the reasons why foreign teachers are stressed, because they cannot just let go. They're taking a long time to accept that they're now in the United States or in a new country where everything is new. Even if you've been teaching, like when I worked in the US, I was already teaching like for 17 years, right? So 17 years already teaching, and I felt like I'm already a good teacher. And then reality hits me. I felt like a new teacher there. Okay? So, if you are someone who has this pride, you feel like, okay, you have this ego, especially if you have been an admin in your home country. I was a principal there. People respect me. Students look up to me. They listen to me. Well, you're no longer in that school. You are in a new school. They don't care where you have been or what you have been doing before going to the US. They would judge you based on how you are in the class at that moment. Okay? They don't care if you were the president of the country where you're from, but they do care how you are as a teacher in front of them. Okay? They will not sit down just because you tell them to sit down. They will not write in their notebook just because you told them to write. Okay? So that's one of the things that you have to prepare for, right? Okay, you have to unlearn some things like what Early said. In case of emergency, situations, can you go back to the Philippines even if the school year is still going on? Well, as long as it's not too long, and I don't know if it's true for all of the districts in the United States, but you have 10 paid leave, okay? And you're free to use that however way you want, okay? So, okay, there's an emergency, you have to go home real quick, as long as you will not be gone for like months, okay, for a month, because what? We hired you to teach because we don't have a teacher, but then you will not be available to teach. Yeah? So, as long as it's not like for a long time, and you have paid leave anyway, so that's 10 days, right? You can use it freely. And they're also reasonable. Yeah, Chadi. Yeah, postgraduate degree, if you finish it, obviously, like literally will increase your salary. The salary that you will have depends on the also the number of relevant teaching experience, number of years of relevant teaching experience. So the word there is relevant. If you are applying as a high school teacher and your experiences with teaching high school is only like 2 years, and you have like 10 years as an elementary school teacher, compared with an applicant with 10 years teaching experience in the secondary, that person has, better chance than you. Okay, so honestly, so by next year, right, I've been saying it on my Facebook page, so I'm in the process of going back to the US. So this is the case for me, right? So I know I can find a job in the US, for sure. I know I can. But visa is another thing. It's 50% of the whole process. So you get a job in the US, someone is willing to hire you, but then there's the visa part. Okay, as you know, I have an American child, right? So for J1 visa, I'm kind of have doubt. I don't know. We'll see. So I will try again to go back to the US on J1 visa, but I'm not very confident. Although I'm working with the same visa sponsor, but a visa application is a different thing entirely. US schools, they have lesson plans, but it's not part of the clearance. Okay, so based on my experience, the teachers are not doing their lesson plans. If you're teaching, if your subject, the subject you're teaching is a core one, like biology, what else, algebra, geometry, American history, those things, ELA, the district already has all the materials ready so that everyone in the district is using the same thing. So that includes presentation, that includes lesson plan, that includes examinations. All of those things, they are done, developed by the people in the district. So the teachers will just use them. But they are free to make some modifications if they want. But the point is, those materials are already ready for use. Every new semester, they create new lesson plans. I don't know with other districts how it is working, but the subject that I was teaching is not a state it is not a state tested subject. Physics is an elective there, so we don't worry about state exams, right? So what happened was, on my first year, I was creating my lesson plan, and then during a meeting, I was like, oh, did you do your lesson plan? I asked my partner, are you done with your lesson plan for next week? And she said, Miss Gawain, I don't do my lesson plans. And then after that, I stopped. I stopped making my own lesson plan. What I do is my presentation, because that's what I'll be using in class. And also, based on my experience doing class observations, they don't even look for it. So really it depends. It could end up at a district that requires it. Okay, that's bad. But there are districts that don't require it, so it's optional. Obviously, if you make something optional, we know what the people will choose. Yeah, if you have families who don't want to go to the US on J2, they don't want to stay there, they don't want to study there, they can visit you on B visa. It's the tourist visa. Like my in-laws, they visited us twice in the US, so they got approved for the tourist visa. That's for 10 years, multiple entry, and each time that they're in the US, they can stay up to 6 months. Yeah, they visited us first time in 2019, so they were there from November till March of 2020, start of COVID, right? And then they visited us again in 2021, November of 2021, and they stayed there until April of 2022. So because they have that tourist visa, so your family can get that visa so they can visit you in the United States. And but yeah, I think, because the same amount, because J2 and B visa, they're both non-immigrant visas, so they're both going to apply, fill out the DS-160 form. It's the same price, it's the same amount. And I feel like, because just recently somebody messaged me, and she said that her son, who was 19 years old, applied for a it was J2 visa, and she said that her son's application got rejected. I think age matters, because 19 years old is an age where they can already start working. And for J2 visa also, by age 21, the holder should leave the United States. So I don't know the reason why that visa application got rejected. There are so many reasons, I don't know. But it was just my guess. It's because of the age of the child. So yeah, there's two options for them, J2 or B visa. That's the tourist visa. Keaton Joy, yeah, I'm teaching in here at a private school. In my place, I'm in Kamsur right now. I'm teaching in Ateneo de Naga University, but in the senior high school department. Hi ma'am, do I need to have my credentials evaluated? Yeah, it's fine. You can do the credential evaluations at any time, before your application or during when they ask for it. But I have noticed that a lot of visa sponsors are requiring it as part of the documents before you can submit your application officially. So it is safer to have it early on, okay? But just make sure that you either hire Spantron or WES, because these two are the commonly used or preferred FCE providers by the visa sponsors. Okay, so Chatty, I'm only seeing this question. Do they also require reports like school forms, action research, or account? No, they don't have those things. If you want to make research, go ahead and do it. It's not required. It's not going to affect your salary. It's not going to add anything to your salary if you did an action research. They don't care about these things. Okay, they don't care about your membership to organizations related to the subject you're teaching. They don't care about that. So I mentioned that on my video. I created a video about salary, my salary in the United States. I mentioned there some of the things that will not have anything to do with the salary. Right? In the Philippines, if you have membership to different organizations, it'll add something, a little bit to your salary. There, it doesn't matter if you're the president of an organization, for instance. It doesn't matter there if you have been awarded Teacher of the Year. Maybe they will give you some prize for it, like a plaque. But no, it will not add anything to your salary. School forms, grades. But it's online, it's digital, so not a lot of paperwork there. Maybe if anything, the teachers with paperwork mostly are the SPED teachers, SPED teachers, because they do the IEPs, right? And 504s. But subject teachers also contribute information for the IEPs. If you have some SPED students who are in your class, because that's also possible, they have IEPs. As a subject teacher, you also have to fill it out. Like the teacher input, not the actual IEP, I'm sorry. Because IEP SPED teachers are the only ones who are, able to access it. But they need information from the subject teacher, so yeah. Using Greenheart to Spantron, is it safe? So safe meaning, well, Spantron and WS, they are the two preferred FCE providers of visa sponsors. Okay, but I know in New Jersey, if the school is in New Jersey, I know they only want WES. I saw that from Nick Caracel's, attorney Nick's post. And by the way, the FCE report has an expiration. It's like for 5 years. Okay, good morning, Mayan. Hi. Other practices I'd like to mention that are not present in the US, right? So teachers are not going to be practicing kids for any foundation day activities. You will not teach the students to sing, because there's no advisory class, especially for secondary level. Anything that is outside of teaching, you will be paid for it extra, because that's an extra work you do, right? So, but if you are a teacher, you have talent, for instance, you may coach or be a moderator to a club for dancing. That's an extra pay. Okay, so there are many things. Oh, how many subjects in elementary? So let me try to recall, because my housemate, she was teaching elementary, right? So, but she's not handling all of the subjects, right? I think she was. It depends on agreement in your department. But there's reading. That's a separate subject. It's a very important class there. So reading. There's an English class, ELA. PE, right? PE, they have, the kids there have PE. So if the teacher isn't a PE major, obviously she will not be the one teaching it. So in her case, I think if it's her class's time to do the PE class, so she will just take the kids to the gym, for instance, and then, yeah, that's her planning period, because the kids are doing the PE class. All right, math, obviously, science. So let me go over that again. So reading is a separate subject from the English class. There's PE, there's math, there's science, right? 5 classes. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I think those are the classes. So that is why most visa sponsors would like, if you are applying as an elementary teacher, that you should be able to teach all these classes, that in your certificate of employment it will show that you are handling different subjects. Again, this is for grade school teachers, that you are teaching math, that you are teaching also science. Okay, so for my housemate, I know she was, based on the meetings they have in the department, they agreed, because there will be, same teachers handling in the same grade level, right? So they have kind of like an agreement. Okay, so you'll be teaching the English and science. So the other one will say, I'll be teaching the math and the other one. Okay, so it means that you'll be the one who will be making the lesson plan for the science and math, if that's assigned to you, and the other teacher will be doing the lesson plan for English, for reading. Okay, again, so the good thing is, if you are teaching elementary compared to teaching secondary school teachers have less work. Okay, we have less work, because every time I'm seeing my housemate, she's teaching elementary, right? Like I said, she's doing a lot of things. Okay, but for me, because for instance, in terms of preparations, obviously I'm only preparing physics class, but she's preparing for reading. I think she was making 3 preparations or 4 preparations. Well, I was only making up to 2 preparations max. So yeah, grade school teachers have more work, because you have to guide your students take them from the bus to your classroom. If it's lunchtime, you take them to the canteen. Is there a chance if I only use my bachelor's? Yeah, as long as your bachelor's degree is an in-demand one. For instance, math, right? Your BSE math, for instance, the STEM classes. But if your bachelor's degree is English, most visa sponsors are requiring that you have a master's degree. Okay, Jalin, again, okay, so I have to speak English all the time, because I have friends here who are not Filipino speakers. Anyway, so there's really no such thing as which is better, specifically which is better one to use WS or Spantron. What will decide which one is a good one is if, say, the visa sponsor has a preferred FCE, but between these two, either can be used, right? So I mentioned earlier, so maybe better in terms of price, but I think the prices between the two is quite close. Okay, the thing with WS is that I don't see the price list. Okay, if that is an important factor to consider, if that's a better option, then since Spantron is showing all the price list, okay, I would say Spantron therefore is a better option. Okay, because you know how much you'll be paying. But I think if you start your application for FCE with WS, obviously you will know how much it is. And then if you see the price and you don't like it, it's too much, for instance, you don't have to complete, you don't have to continue with the process. You can go ahead and look for another service provider. Again, choose only between WES and Spantron. Ma'am, good morning po. My VS po emailed me to process my FCE. But this December po is my graduation of my master po. Yeah, wait for it. Wait for your transcript. Because if you apply them separately, then you will pay again. If you turn in your transcript for master's degree and bachelor's degree, it's just one payment. If you turn them in separately, then they are separate payments. Okay, so for instance, if let me see this. Your graduation is December. Will you be able to get your TOR right away? TOR, the transcript? MC, do you think like by December you will also have the transcript or no? Because if not, what is the advantage of completing all the papers, early on? So if you are a teacher who already completed the papers, early on, then your application will be the first one to be presented to prospective employers because you're ready. Yeah, so it goes like that. So, but for instance, your TOR will not be ready by December. You can go ahead and process your FC, because once your TOR is ready, and obviously the unfortunate thing there is you have to pay again, you can send it again for recomputation of your salary. So it's up to you. 1 to 2 weeks. So meaning by January it will be available, right? Okay. So I would say it's still okay, I think during my time, I turned in my FCE. Okay, let me see. But I'm sure I turned in my FCE already in summer. EPI was also my visa sponsor that time. So if your TOR is ready by January, it's still okay. It's still early, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, it's up to you, ma'am. Are you okay with paying again? Okay. But if it's ready by January, I think it's fine. You can wait for it so that your contract, when you get the job offer, will already include your master's degree. So, but for instance, you did not have it for FCE, and you already have a job offer without the FCE, including the master's degree, you can have it upgraded in the US. You can turn in your TOR, your diploma for your master's degree when you are already in the US. You will submit it to your district, and they will recompute your salary. Right? Okay, so you have those options. Assess. Hello, ma'am. Can you tell us about your assessment procedure? MC, thank you so much for the star you gave me, by the way. I'm not used to having anyone give me stars. I appreciate it. Hello, ma'am. Can you tell us about your assessment procedure for students? Is it standardized also in US for all grade levels, or do the teachers have the freedom to choose the type of assessment appropriate for each student's learning ability? Okay, so the only standardized tests they have there are the state exams, and the teachers are not the ones making them. There's like a third party people doing all the exams, and the schools, the district pay for them. Okay, so for instance, for high school, so there's SAT, ACT, and GSS. They have so many assessments there, but the teachers are not the ones creating these exams. Again, these are third party exam makers. I don't know if that's the right term for it, and the school pay for it. Okay, so now how about, is there any periodic exam? No. The periodic exam, those things, that the departmental exams, I don't have it there. It's just quizzes. Okay, so for the quiz, you can agree since you're teaching grade school, you can agree among yourselves who will be making the quiz this time for this subject. Like I said, for elementary, if you agree within your grade level that you'll be the one who will handle, who will be making the learning materials for English, then it includes the quizzes. You're assigned to do the quiz, and your co-teacher teaching the same class will use that same quiz. But actually, if you don't want to use that quiz as well, you want to make your own, you're free to do it. Okay, so there's more freedom there. for instance, in my entire teaching experience here, I have been making my own quizzes, even if I have a partner. So I would offer, hey, I created a quiz for this one. Do you want to use it? Okay, you can share it, but they have the freedom not to use it. They can change it if they want to. Okay, so it is also common for teachers there to share resources, share materials. You know, unlike in most cases in the Philippines, like you're hogging, you're secretly doing things, you're not sharing it to other people. Like if you share it, you will lose it. There is okay. People are constantly sharing resources, sharing materials. Like for instance, hey, Mrs. Gawin, I found a good app that we can use. Maybe you want to try this. I'll show you later during your free time. If you have free time, I can show you how to use it. That's how it is there. Okay, so again, to answer, the standardized tests are from third-party people. Okay, but these standardized tests, they're quite high stake because it affects the school grades. So you want your students to really score high on those state exams. Okay, a school there, every school there, in the public school. Okay, private school, they're different. In public school, where foreign teachers will be placed for the most part, are being ranked and graded. So, for instance, if the school is an A school, it's a top school. The graduation rate is high. The scores in the state exams are high. Those things. But if the school grade is like C or D, the failing grade, it means graduation rate is very low. Proficiency level of the students very low in reading, in math, English. Those, by the way, the state exams are not for all classes. Okay, it's only for reading. If you're teaching grade school, it's only for reading, ELA, math, okay, and science. For high school, the math and sciences that are state tested would be algebra. I know algebra. I think it really depends on the state. By the way, every state have they have different programs. For the science, it's biology. So luckily, I was teaching physics. There's no state exam for physics. That's why I have the freedom as far as my assessments are concerned. And so most of my assessments, they're online. So I'm not grading any papers anymore. Okay? So they're all in Canvas. We were using Canvas at our district. It's not Canva, okay? Canva and Canvas, they're different. Okay, I hope I answered your questions. Okay, I already answered that. But so far, I want to thank you because I might forget later. Thank you for joining me today. This will serve as my consultation and coaching hours for Saturday. What else? Okay, so it's December, right? In the Philippines, there will be Christmas parties for kids. No. There's no Christmas party. I know also here is a practice for younger kids. If it's your child's birthday, you can celebrate the birthday in school. It's not allowed there. Because you'll be disrupting the class. Okay? And also, in the US, you're not supposed to share your food with the kids, especially if it is something that you prepared at home. Okay? Don't share your meal with the kids, because if something happened to the kid, like food poisoning, the parents are going to sue you. Okay? But you meant well, right? So if there is any food that you'd like to share with the students, because you're feeling like, okay, it should be store-bought food. Like, how we are required, J1 visa holders are required to the cultural exchange thing. So if part of the cultural exchange activity you have is sharing the local food, like Filipino candies or Filipino snacks, it should not be something that you prepared yourself. Buy it. Okay? Just in case and make sure, check the label for expiration date. You don't want to give them anything expired. So you're not allowed to give medicine to the students. Okay? So for instance, a student goes to you and say, Hey miss, I have a headache. Do you have any, medicine? Don't give them any medicine. Okay, send them to the infirmary. Send them to the nurse. But don't give them any medicine. Even if it's something that they say, yeah, I'm taking that too. It's okay. No, don't. Never. Okay, what else? Yeah, I already mentioned this. If there's a fight, if you want to see my, detailed video on that, school fight, don't try to break the fight. Okay? Don't touch the kids. They can claim that you hurt them. And they will sue you again. So US is a land of lawsuits. That's why they're too careful. Don't joke, okay? Mentioned this before, but don't joke about their hair. Don't joke about their body. Don't joke about their voice. Those things, okay? I know this is exaggerated, maybe, but the important thing is that you survive your contract without having any lawsuits, right? The things that should come out from your mouth should just be the lessons. Don't talk about religion if it's not what the lesson is all about. Don't talk about politics if that's not your lesson. Say you are a math teacher. Only say math related things. Okay? Because you want to be careful, right? And also, please remember, you only have up to 5 years there. There are things that you will not agree with. Okay? Their practices, the way they do things. But you are not there to change the world. You are not there to change their system. It's their thing. Right? You are a foreigner. So just make sure to, just work based on, I know you have to think outside the box. You can do that, obviously, in terms of strategies, in terms of school activities that you want to do for your kids, for them to learn better. Creativity is really, is applauded there. If you're a very creative teacher and you're a fun teacher, just limit it to academic things, okay? Again, you're not there to change their culture. You can share your culture, but that is not to change theirs. Hi, Mens! Mens was my student back in the training center. Hi, Mens. He's now a dad. Do also your students appreciate when you tell them sorry about yourself? Yeah, as long as you don't spend so much time on it. So what I would say is, during my first year, for the cultural exchange activity, which is a requirement of the visa, if you don't do this, it could be a reason for your visa sponsor to terminate your visa, okay? So you are required to do 2 cultural exchange activity. One category is the cultural exchange activity that you do with the school, right? You do at your community, say neighborhood, church, school also, that does not involve students. Okay, that's category 1 or A. I don't know how visa sponsors name them, but there are 2 categories. One that you do not involving the students from the Philippines. It only involves people in the US, like your church, neighborhood. If you are a member of a club there somewhere, you can do a cultural activity with them as well, or your students. The other category is the one that involves Filipino students and the students in the United States. Okay? So that's the second category. And yearly, you are required to do both. Right? So what I did was, of course, your cultural exchange program should be approved by the school and by your visa sponsor. After you have received their approval, then that's the time when you can start it. So what I did was, I always designate a portion in my bulletin board about my country. So I have the flag there, I have the map, I have some words there that I want them to learn, and I would change that, not really monthly or weekly, whenever I just remember changing them. That's one way. And then what I did was, it's a practice there to have a bell work. A bell work is what the students do as soon as they get in the class. So that's every day, for instance, except if it's your exam day, right? You don't have to have a bell work. So as soon as the students get in the class, they do the bell work. It's about like 5 minutes or 7 minutes max. So what I did in my cultural exchange is that I designated one of the days where I would share about my culture instead of doing the bell work. So for up to 7 minutes, I would show them a video of the street foods in the Philippines, for instance. So I don't make them eat or let them eat street foods. Let them watch just YouTube videos that are good. Next time, it will be, say, language. So I will teach them Filipino words. You know, it's common they will ask you, so how do you say this in your language? Okay, don't fall into the trap of saying, you know, explicits. They're recording you, okay? Tell them, oh, you can learn that somewhere else, but from me, you will learn wholesome words only, okay? Maybe the worst thing that you can teach them is the word for booger. For instance, right? But not the, you know, explicit words. Don't do that. Don't fall into the trap. Okay. That's what I did. For the second category, Filipino students and, you know, American students, it's usually exchange of emails. There was one time that I did like a postcard. I ordered postcards from Amazon, and then I sent the postcards to, and then I gave the postcards to the students, only those who would like to participate, right? And so with the teacher in the Philippines, of course, I contacted my classmate, my college classmate. I asked him, hey, can I, you know, partner with your class? I made a letter, obviously, it has to be approved. And then I send that money to the teacher so she can also buy postcards, Filipino postcards. And then we matched kids. It's just drawouts, you know. And then they exchanged postcards. So I spent, obviously I don't want the Filipino teacher to spend for this one because it's my thing, my project. So it was fun. The kids were really happy doing it. So it can be, you can hook up like a video conference between your class and the Filipino class, but because of this kind of challenging because of the time difference, right? 12 hours. So when you have your class in the US, like around 8 a.m., that's 8 p.m. in the Philippines. There's no more school at that time. So usually it's recorded video. So there are so many things. I already created a video about cultural exchange in my channel. So you can go ahead and, you know, watch that later if you haven't done so already. Of course, miss, honestly, I don't know if you know this, but I have been given an award as the most humorous teacher. Can you imagine? I won against the American teachers there for being funny. Yeah, that's something I'm bragging about because it's difficult to achieve, you know? Being funny in the English language. Yeah, I'm bragging. Anyway, but yeah, I got that award. It was selected by the students, so I was given a certificate. I showed that, I posted that here on my page. Most humorous teacher award. Okay, so yeah, how does involvement works? Yeah, obviously, yeah, I already answered this, I think. And you also capture the cell phone before starting. No, don't take student stuff. You're not, okay, it's a basic right, it's their constitutional right to own the phones. Okay, so you can set some rules, but if they don't want to give you the phone, for instance, you can set rule like, really it depends in the school. If it's a school-wide rule that all the phones should be turned in and placed in a box, for instance, or somewhere in the classroom during the class, and they cannot take it during the class, then implement that. But if it's your own rule, like just your class, I would caution you from doing it. It will be problematic. Okay, so whatever the school rule is, implement that. Okay, don't do a rule that's different from the school's rules. If the school's rules says you can take it, but still, I would caution you from doing it. Okay, thank you, Florabelle. You can warn them. So I have a video already on classroom management, school fights. Okay, if you have time, you can check those out as well. but every district they kind of have a different rule. Okay, so obviously there's a rule that says no phones out. So now it is up to you how well you are in implementing them, but consistency is key. Okay, if you allow one time, all right, they will use that one time you allowed it to force you to allow it the entire school year. Okay, so really it's a challenge, the phone thing, really one of the biggest, because otherwise they will be on their phones. If you're a teacher who can't manage that, it will be a problem for you. Okay, chewing gum, yeah, they're not allowed to, but I haven't had any problems with chewing gum. Maybe they don't like it, but I don't really see them chewing gums. It's not a problem. It's really the phones. Phones and inappropriate language. F you. What do you want to do about it, babe? The B word. You'll hear it a lot. F word, B word. It's just students. A lot of American teachers are doing contents about this, how students are not doing the work, but then they expect to get a good grade. You will experience that. Oh, when was the time I shed a tear? It was the entire year of my first year. Okay, I mentioned this a lot already in the past. But every Sunday night I'm crying because, I was crying, because the next day is Monday, I'm going back to school again. Oh no, I'm already thinking about, why did I go here to teach? The first year was a regret year for me. It's a survival year for me. I've shed so many tears. I'm glad I did not dehydrate. That's how bad it was. But I never cried in front of the students. Okay? So every Sunday night, my husband would be like, okay, here we go again, because I'll be crying again. Okay? So every Sunday night for the entire first school year. Okay, next. There was a time I cried in school, but not in front of the kids. So I felt like it was a very exhausting day. And I have that class, my most challenging class. There were lots of rude students there. They just won't listen to you. Because, when it's your first year, you're kind of still adjusting. You're trying to gauge things. What are the things you can and can do? What are the things you can't and can't say? So during the first year, it was really the hardest. I thought of quitting several times. The thought is there, but obviously I never quit. And towards the end anyway, I wanted to stay, meaning I already fully adjusted and was enjoying it. So don't worry. But it's important to know, during your first year will be the hardest, okay? But you will overcome it. So stay, don't quit. Anyway, so there was one time on my 7th period, I was really having a hard time. And I know if I continue to stand in front of the class and teach, I would cry. So what I did was, I went, because my classroom, it has its own office inside. There's like 2 offices. So when you open the door, there's one office where you can have conference with the kids. There's another office inside that, like interior. That's where I stayed. I took my laptop with me. I messaged my admin and I told them, could you please come up to my class? I don't think I will still be able to teach today. Okay? I'm crying in the office. I don't want my students to see me. So they received it. So my AP, my assistant principal, and another teacher came up to my classroom. So they were really kind. But that's the only time that I ever needed them that way. So yeah, after that, and then they asked me, hey, so gladly it was, the last period. No more, period after that. And they asked me, hey, if you don't feel like you can teach tomorrow, it's okay. We will get you coverage. Well, that means that they will get a sub for you. Coverage means someone going to your class instead of you. And I told them, no, it's okay. It's just right now I'm really exhausted, but I think I'll be okay. So yeah, the next day I came to school as usual. Okay. And so yeah, that's the worst day, I think. But there were days I really don't want to go. I've used up my leave balances. right? Because, and in most of those leaves, the absences that I took is because of mental break. I just didn't want to see them. Okay, again, that's your first year. That's how it's going to be like. But you will overcome it eventually. You'll get the hang of it. You'll find ways. Every school year is different. You'll get better each school year. That's why, like I said, if only I could say, I would have. But it's time to go home. My school wanted me to stay, but they can't make me stay because it's a visa requirement. Okay? Yeah. Eric's, yeah. It depends. Like I said, in my district, all lesson plans were done by the people in the district who are assigned to do it. So it's up to the teacher if they want to use it. But that's only for the core subjects. Core subjects meaning state-tested subjects. Like for math, it's algebra, right? There's English, language, arts, ELA, meaning. So it's not true for all subjects. But if your subject is not state-tested, you have the freedom. Like in my case, doing the lesson plan is optional. So when I came to that school, they don't have lesson plan for physics because I didn't have physics class for many years. Okay, so they hired me in order to kind of open up the physics program there. So I was starting from no lesson plans that I could use. But I've been teaching physics for a very long time. That's my major, so it was okay for me. So I was the only physics teacher there. I was not working with anyone else. Okay, can you share with us about lesson planning? Is it every day? So again, if you are teaching in grade school, all lesson planning there is weekly. So you do the plan by week, so meeting one or day one, whatever. We have different formats there. But again, if it's not a state-tested subject, lesson plans not required. It's optional. Okay? Again, I was teaching high school. And I was teaching an elective class. It's not a core class. But again, just in case you haven't heard it, core classes, there's a state exam for that. So the district people are doing the curriculum. They're doing all the learning materials. That includes PowerPoint presentation. That includes lesson plan. It's already made by the district people. And so by the start of the new school year, it will already be accessible to the teachers within the district. Okay? So because it's a state-tested subject, they want all teachers to be in the same page because the state exam will be at the same time, statewide. So they want you to be able to cover all the, the standards. So the lessons there, they call it standards, okay? Okay, don't want to give surprise quizzes often, but I personally don't like it, okay? So even adults, we don't want surprise quizzes because our lives don't revolve in, doing the schoolwork. I personally don't give surprise quizzes. It's always something that I schedule. It's actually part of my routine. When I was there, again, this is secondary. That's why I can do it like that. For elementary, obviously you can't do it. Otherwise, the students will be doing quiz the entire time. But because I was teaching secondary, I assigned Friday as a quiz day. Okay? So I didn't even have to announce it anymore. The students know that if it's Friday, there's going to be a quiz. I don't give surprise quiz because, who will be surprised? You, not the students. You'll be surprised because all the scores are 0. It will just pull their grades down. And then you have to do something extra. It's just a waste of energy. So I don't do it personally, but other teachers are doing it, I know. But it's one of the reasons why they can, complain. Oh, because she's giving too many surprise quizzes. We have to prepare for it. Things like that. And the American students are, they're confident, they're independent, they say whatever they have in mind, okay? If they feel like you are being unreasonable, they will tell you straight. So what I'm saying is, if there is a way, because the important thing is that you are able to cover the expected standard, right? Okay, as long as your assessment is able to check their understanding, okay, with that particular standard, okay, you might as well just give them a chance to get good grades, right? What is the purpose of surprise quizzes? Okay, I know this is the common answer. Because you want the students to always be ready all the time. But you know, American kids, they are practical people. Especially if you're teaching in secondary. Those kids, right after school, will go to their work to earn money. They don't have time to open their notebooks anymore when they get home. If you're teaching in Title I school, the kids that you have are from the low-income families. Okay? So, after school, they're excited to go home because they have to work. So, I also don't give homeworks, right? All the things that they needed to do for my class, we do during the school hours. Because I know those students will work until 11 p.m. I don't know their condition at home, but most of them don't have a happy home to go home to, right? A lot of them are from families without a father. Okay, so I feel like it's important when they go home, they have time to rest. They have time to be with their family and not think about my class. Because there are other classes too. So really, it's up to you. But I personally don't give homework. I don't give surprise quizzes because I know the score is going to be low anyway. And homework? Oh, they will just cheat. Okay, just do everything in the classroom within the school hour so that they can do family thing, you know, and their work. Some of them will be sleeping in class because, you know, they went home late because they were working. So that's one of the things you should remember. American kids starting from 16 years old can start working part-time. They're not allowed to work full-time because they are students, okay? It's illegal for employers to give them full load, okay, like full-time work. They can only work part-time. So, but even then, you're not their only subject, right? And if you're a foreign teacher, you will be placed at Title I schools because that's where there's, you know, the shortage of teacher, and the students that you will have there are from the low-income families, and most of them are first-generation high school graduate if they do graduate. Okay, on the spot recitation. So maybe this is one thing I would share with you in general. They don't like call-outs there. So what is call-outs? That's the recitation thing, okay? So they're avoiding the teachers putting kids on the spot. So that is why they have lots of tools, technologies where the students can still participate and show their learning, where the teachers can monitor student progress. So they have lots of subscriptions like Nearpod, Pear Deck, Canvas, many other things. So instead of call-outs, which is really common in the Philippines, what is call-out? Like you have a question, you call a student to stand. And sometimes if the student couldn't answer, you will continue to ask the student, you know, using all the techniques you've learned from seminars you have attended, like probing, things like that. But you know, if they don't want to answer, you are not supposed to force them. You give them another way to show that they have learned it, okay? Like for instance, during the pandemic, during the virtual class, they're not even required to turn on their webcam. You know, it's privacy thing. If they don't want you to see what's behind them, what's behind the camera, their family, you're not supposed to force them. You know, that's why, you know, during the pandemic, I was teaching the ceiling, or you just blank, and then you just, you know, require them to type in their answers on the chat box, right? So there are so many things, things that you are used to doing in your home country maybe, that, and you know, it's not a practice there, might even be frowned upon. Again, like, you know, touching the kids, don't touch them. You know how in elementary school, I experienced this, say the teacher wants you to fall in line, right? And some teachers would grab your shoulder or your arm and say, hey, come here, don't do that there. Don't touch kids. And also international schools early means that your students there are from the rich families, right? So really is a big influence on how the kids are. Discipline-wise, you know, like manners-wise. If you are teaching at a public school in the U.S., your kids are not from rich families. They're usually from low-income families. There are the good schools, you know, in really good communities. There are the A schools. They don't really have shortage of teachers because, you know, local teachers would be flocking those schools, and so the shortage will be from, you know, these public schools, Title I schools. Title I, again, like I said, is low-income family. The kids there will have free lunch, free food, 100%. Okay, so the thing is, I think it's not their culture. If you're teaching at Title I school, it's not their culture to have like a study habit when they go home. Okay, and most parents are not available to teach their kids at home because they're working. Lots of parents are, you know, lots of students are from one parent family, like it's just the mom or the dad, or usually it's just the mom, single moms, who may be unavailable for the most part to teach them. So I think what helps students to get good grades in assessment is when they're, you know, they have this study habit after school hours. When they reach home, they can study again. Don't expect that to happen in the US. So in school, what you can do is to, like, that's what, you know, local teachers, the American teachers are not liking. You know, you're like teaching for the test, teaching for the, just so the kids can do good in the assessment, right? Most schools there, they have they offer after school reviews, but not everyone's attending it, even if it's free already. Yeah, so in school you can maybe give them handouts. What else? Do drills. Hopefully it helps. But yeah, it's still, I don't know. Rotation is used there a lot. Kagan strategies. You know, technologies I mentioned earlier. What else? Khan Academy. They have subscriptions there too. Khan Academy helps the students to have self-paced studies and quizzes, revisions, right? So, yeah, online sources. Teachers don't get free food, by the way. You bring your own lunch. So, the canteens there don't sell food. So, teachers bring their lunch from home, or during their vacant period, their lunchtime, they would drive out or eat somewhere, or you can have your food delivered to school. Yeah, but there's no canteen there where you can buy food, and there's no free food for teachers. The free food is only for the kids.